Good morning. We're going to try and brew some Delter Press today. We have a Delter Press, it's very used. Doing a bit of a tutorial, my first time at it. We're going to use some Guatemala from First Fruits coffee here in Australia. Get some coffee out. We're going to do a 2-cup method, so I'm going to do 24 grams of coffee. I like to pick through and check the beans. So I have, don't know if you'll see, but it's a lighter coloured one. It's a Quaker, so that'll make it taste bad. Just get a couple out. Wow! Coffee everywhere. 24 grams. Need some more. So that's my 24 grams of coffee. So I got the knock air grind, got the other grind of 7, maybe 1 or 2 times around. It'll be a similar grind to an Aeropress, and I'll show you the grind size after. Out of the way, give it a tap, make sure it's all in the chamber. "24 grams is quite a lot for the Delta. It's hard to fit too much more. My record's 30 grams, but required a bit of extra work. So that's our grind for the Delta. Fairly coarse, maybe similar to a V60 or other filter methods. Perhaps slightly coarser than an Aeropress, but obviously play with it depending on the coffee you've got. So we'll wet our filter paper. I've got water here that I've brewed to, heated to 88 degrees Celsius. The tipped our water out. The Delter Press website gives us 95 degree, but I find that a bit on the hot side. Put the cap on firmly. Spin that round so I can see what we're doing. We're going to put 200 ml, which is 200 grams of water in straight up. I don't generally put the kettle back on to heat in between, but that's something you can also play around with. Doesn't matter if you're not spot on. Oh, spot on! You got to see that. .5. It's slightly above the fill line when you're looking down at it, but when you're actually looking level, it's right at the 200 mark. You can see I've put the insert in all the way to the bottom there. So we're ready to start extracting. I like to put the cap on because the hot water can be a bit hard. Pull it up so that we're at 50 grams, so just above the bottom there. Then we'll start the timer at the same time. The Delter Press website says that when you're not pushing water through, that you've stopped extracting. Mostly true, but I suppose technically there's water in the coffee grounds as soon as you start pushing through, so the water that's in there will be extracting coffee to a degree. So I try to keep the brew consistent. So once we pushed our 50 grams through, it takes usually about 20-25 seconds. I pull it up to approximately the 100 mark. We'll push again. The Delter Press is not as, the seal isn't as strict as an Aeropress. Some water will escape through it, as will some air. You don't want to push too hard. Generally, for my timing, I'll aim for about 20 seconds for the first 50 grams, and then approximately the minute 15 for the next 100 ish. Goal probably is to use a similar amount of pressure throughout. Lift it up and push that last little bit of water through. You don't want to lift it up too high because you'll have a noticeable air gap, and we're going to top up the water in our Delter. And if you've got a big air gap, you might not be able to fit all the water in that you want to. So we'll push that last bit through. It'll take us to, I don't know, approximately a minute 30, minute 40 maybe. Take the cap off. We'll put in another 200 ml, so total 400. We're using 24 grams of coffee, so that's approximately a 1:17 ratio. Ooh. Just on. Went over. You don't get to see that one. So now I'm going to do 2 brews of around 100. Again, we've got a bit of a parallax error, so I lift it over the 100 mark. But as I said, the seal's slightly permeable for the Delter Press versus the Aeropress, and so your second one will always be over 100 because you will have lost some water as you push that first bit through. Up to our theoretically last. Generally I need to do a bit of an extra push right at the end there. I'm aiming for around 3 minutes 30 to finish. Depends again on your coffee. You shouldn't notice any spurting, you shouldn't notice any coffee coming out the sides as long as you've tightened the filter on firmly. Right at the end there'll be a little bit of extra water, so we'll squeeze that through. When all the water's gone through, I don't like to keep pushing until you hear air being pushed through the coffee. Might prefer just to stop just before that, but you'll get used to it as well. We have some coffee. It's pretty hot, so I'll put just a bit in my little cup. Some Delter Press. Cheers.